Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the newest episode of Just Sayin. I'm Shay,
Woo! And I'm Jairus.
and we are so glad to be back for another week. Quick, disclaimer. We have the dogs in the room with us, so there might be some interruptions, so forgive us. And real quick, to any of our listeners in Florida right now, with Hurricane Helene bearing down on all of us, Jairus and I were on the West Coast, so we're going to feel it come Thursday, but hopefully it doesn't look like right now we're going to be getting hit with the worst of it. So any of our listeners, fans, family, friends on the West Coast of Florida, the Panhandle, the Big Bend, just be careful. And if you get told to evacuate, please evacuate.
Yep. Stay safe, stay alert, stay updated, and everything will be good.
But you live in Florida, we live in Florida, so unfortunately hurricanes are something that we have to deal with. But it's almost October. And it's funny I say that because a new Disney Plus series all about witches and spooky things just started, Jairus, didn't it?
Really? What's the name of that series?
That'd
Shay?
be Agatha All Along. The much
Interesting.
anticipated, some would say sequel to WandaVision almost, following Agatha Harkness from the WandaVision TV show. But the first two episodes premiered just the other day, as of this recording. So we're going to recap it here for you and give you guys our thoughts, and also a new teaser trailer dropped today, as of this recording.
Yeah, that's right. For the Thunderbolts series or movie that's coming out in 2025. So we're going to get to all that. But first, episode 1. We're back in Westview.
That's right. We are back. This takes place, they said, 3 years, right?
3 years after the events of WandaVision.
Yeah. And I think we both agree how the episode plays out, at least the first half to 3/4 of the episode, where it's very similar to WandaVision. It's its own, like, true crime show in Westview, basically. Very awesome. I loved it. I love them piggybacking off of what WandaVision did. And Agatha wakes up after a series of events that we'll get into, but she ends up waking up from the spell that the Scarlet Witch left on her.
That's right. So towards the end of WandaVision, Wanda Maximoff puts a spell on Agatha, takes her powers, and then the events of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness happen, where Scarlet Witch is corrupted by the Darkhold. That movie takes place, and Wanda brings down the building that she was in at the end of the movie, destroying her and the Darkhold. But is she really dead? Is the question that everyone was asking.
Yeah, you saw the little flash of Scarlet when the building collapsed, but there was no body. So is she really dead? And what happens in the first episode here?
Right. So the first episode, we see Agatha. Her name is Agnes in the TV show, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Gets to this riverbank.
She's a detective in this TV show.
Yep. And she finds a dead body.
Jane Doe.
And you kind of tell right away, if you're an avid Marvel fan, like who it is.
Yeah.
You see the black fingertips.
Mm-hmm. The outfit she was wearing.
The scarlet hair.
Mm-hmm.
So right away, you knew. And they were saying how there's no sign of a perpetrator dragging her there or carrying her there. It's almost like she magically appeared.
Oh, isn't that something?
So yeah, that's the first part of the episode. And then it just goes through, her trying to figure out the case, and we get introduced to these other characters that are in the show. But in reality, they're just normal citizens of Westview.
Just like WandaVision.
Exactly. So throughout the first episode, you start to see the signs of, okay, this is not what it seems. Just weird little quirks here and there. Um, what I thought was really cool is they found a book note on the body. So Agnes goes to the library to find out which book was checked out. The first letter of each word of the book, I can't remember the full name of it, but the first letter of each book spelled out Darkhold.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you just know that something's off, and one of the characters, her partner, like the FBI agent that she was partnered up with.
Who's, in my opinion, it seemed like there was kind of like love interest there, like they were exes or something. That's what I got from it.
Yeah. So she's like, asking her these questions that she's certain of the answer, but when she thinks back on it, Agnes, when she thinks back on it, she doesn't remember. Like,
Yeah.
for example, the FBI detective asked her, like, do you travel anywhere? And she's like, oh yeah, I travel around. And she's like, well, where have you traveled? And she's like, I can't remember.
Yeah.
So, the whole world starts kind of breaking down, and so she goes to the coroner's office, right, to look at the body. There's no body.
Yeah, exactly.
So she, like, describes the body, and it magically appears.
Ooh.
And you see the little tag, and Wanda Maximov's name appears in red.
That's right.
The Scarlet Witch.
It's her.
So, after that, the detective shows up again and is like, she's not the only one that's dead. There's 2 victims, break free from the spell.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts, like, taking off clothes, and you see, like, outfits from what she was in WandaVision,
Yep.
which was
Go
pretty
through different
cool.
episodes, yeah.
And she breaks free from the spell and wakes up in her house in Westview.
Naked.
Yeah. Runs outside completely naked. And the neighbors are like, we've been trying to help you. You have not been yourself. She's like, how long have I lived here? 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's been 3 years since she's been trapped. So yeah, really the first episode, as expected, it's all kind of introductory, but
Well, then there's that FBI agent is actually seemingly another kind of witch.
yeah. So
Sh-
Agatha is like a really bad
Yeah,
witch.
she's
Like, a lot of people want her dead
not good.
and all that. Well, and also when she wakes up, Agatha, she's powerless. She finds out that
Yeah, she has no power.
the Scarlet Witch took her powers
Yeah,
when she took the Darkhold.
but this the I wish we remembered her name, but she comes back. They have a little, or no, that was in the second episode, wasn't it? Or no, that was the first because the kid was there.
Yeah.
So they have this little fight, and then Agatha is able to convince her, no, 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 you don't want to kill me when I have no power. You want to kill me when there is power. And then she ends up saying the FBI agent or other witch, presumably, says she wants to see the Salem 7 get their hands on her and see what they do to her. Which then leads to like the end of the episode basically saying Agatha needs to find the road or whatever.
The Witch's Road. So I can't remember the name. We should have written all this down.
Yeah.
But basically she needs to gather like 3 or 4 other witches,
Yeah.
create like a seal, basically, to conjure the entrance to the Witch's Road.
Yeah. So before we go into episode 2, because it was a 2-parter premiere. Episode 1 We see Scarlet Witch's body. We see that it is her, but you never actually see her face. You don't obviously see Elizabeth Olsen's face. And so, because she just magically appeared, is the thought in your head still there, or that question in your head still there? Like, is she actually dead? Like, does this confirm anything, whether she's actually dead or not?
I think it's an either 50-50. I don't think we have enough information yet. Um, you know, with the Darkhold supposedly being gone, as the other witch says, because she's told Agatha you can't hide behind the Darkhold anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lean more towards yes, because that was the
Okay.
source of all of the Scarlet Witch's power, and now that that's gone, I would assume, because at the end of Doctor Strange movie, he's like, you have to be the one that closes the Darkhold and everything with it. So to me, that sounded like if the Darkhold goes, you go with it, kind of thing. But I'm still open to the possibility that maybe Wanda's like maybe trapped in some sort of purgatory. Maybe she's like maybe she's become part of the Witch's Road. Maybe we'll see her at some point. Maybe she'll be like the final boss,
Yeah.
if you will. But yeah, I could see it going either way.
Yeah, I feel the same. Like, it's all up in the air, but I would personally lean more towards that she's not dead still, just because her face, we did not see her face, and her body just magically appeared. So, just on that, I would say it's not a guarantee that she is dead, and I think she could still be alive somehow, some way.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask you that before we get into episode 2 now.
Right. So real quick, the kid, we don't know his name.
Correct.
And the reason we don't know his name is because when he was trying to talk about his name and like where he came from and his life story, there seemed to be like a little insignia over his mouth.
Mhm.
So something is preventing Agatha from finding out who he is.
Yeah, like there's some kind of spell.
So to me, that sounds like he's very important.
Yeah.
He's going to be a very important piece to this story. Because when I first like saw him, I was like, he seemed like kind of like a character that was like that comic relief, kind of took the edge off. But when I saw that, I'm like, oh, okay, so there's a big reason for that.
Right.
So he could actually be a very important piece to this story.
And it happens again later in the episode, but just in a different way.
Yeah. So yeah, at the end of episode 1, she basically gathers all the witches. That we see the Salem 7 coming after her. They conjure the entrance to the Witch's Road. They enter, and I kind of liked it because it reminded me of the Wizard of Oz, like the Yellow Brick Road. But it's like all dark, and the moon's out, and it was like a blue road of like kind of flowers.
Yep.
That it looked like. There's got to be like a ton of symbolism in there, probably, or something like that.
Probably.
That we don't know of. But yeah. So yeah, it's pretty much episode 1 and 2, I guess, because episode 2 was kind of the same.
Yeah, just introducing the witches she needs to make a coven to open the doors to the road. When the kid starts speaking in the car, she doesn't hear anything. He almost becomes like mute to her, basically. Even though he's talking, she can't hear anything. So there's definitely some kind of like spell or something going on why she can't hear him explain anything about himself.
Yeah, and apparently the kid like wanted to go to the Witch's Road to get powers.
Yeah.
And he like admires Agatha a lot.
So with that being said, we'll both, of course, share our opinions here, but what after the first 2 episodes. I think there's supposed to be 8 in total. Don't quote me on that though. What are how do you feel about the series so far? What are your expectations, and what do you think might happen in the next episode?
Yeah, it was good. Like I said, I like the callback to WandaVision because I think that's one of the greatest projects that Marvel has came out with since Endgame. So I did really appreciate that. I like how they kind of stuck to like a very mysterious tone. Like we obviously don't know a lot, and it's only the first 2 episodes. Um, this is cool because it's expanding on the role of magic in the MCU, which we have not seen
Yeah.
a lot of that besides the Scarlet Witch
Yeah. Exactly.
and Doctor Strange. So I'm very excited. The only gripe I have is with it being so long after Multiverse of Madness and WandaVision, it kind of seems a little weirdly timed.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, outside factors have played into that and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, stuff that's out of people's control. But if you're a casual fan and you just needed a new series to watch, it could be a little confusing if you don't know what has happened previously.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I liked it a lot. I agree with you. Share a lot of the same sentiments. It explores the role of magic in the MCU more, and witchcraft and everything. I Because they were the first 2 episodes, I thought it was a little slow. However, I really did enjoy the story and the introduction of everyone. So I'm hoping it picks up a little bit here in the 3rd episode. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen as they go down the witch's road and get to the end of it. Um, Agatha has to get all of her power back somehow, so I'm very curious to see how that happens. And I think the final episode is on Halloween or the week after Halloween, something like that. So that's gonna be really cool to see as well.
Yeah, perfect timing. It's Halloween. Why not come out with the spooky series?
Yeah, exactly. But that's not the only Marvel news we got.
What?
What?
There's more?
Believe it or not, today is Tuesday, as of this recording, September 24th. The day before Monday, the September 23rd, the Thunderbolts teaser trailer dropped.
Now, the Thunderbolts, what do you mean? Like, who's the Thunderbolts?
Bolts of lightning. That's what they are. No, I'm just kidding. The Thunderbolts are in the comics basically a team of some like bad guys, but and some villains, but or anti-heroes put together by Thunderbolt Ross, and he himself as the Red Hulk is also a part of the Thunderbolts team. So that's how it ties directly into the new Captain America movie too. But typically it's a team assembled by him, and he's a part of the team, and they carry out the shady side of saving the world, or trying to screw over the Avengers somehow, or basically stuff like that. But in the title, there's a little asterisk, and the current theory is that's because the Thunderbolts isn't the real name, or it's only a temp name, and the real name will actually be the Dark Avengers, which would be pretty cool.
Really? So, who did we see in the Thunderbolts? Who's part of this team?
Well, if you watch the trailer, which I highly recommend you find people do, we have the old Captain America, not Steve Rogers, people. Not Steve Rogers, his replacement.
Not Sam Wilson.
Also, yes, not
His replacement is Sam Wilson, but it's not Sam
No.
Wilson. It was the other replacement
yeah,
that we saw in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
yes, who very violently killed somebody with the Captain America shield, and you know, got him kicked out of being Captain America. So he's part of the team. You have Yelena Belova, the new Black Widow. Black Widow, her sister. You have Alexei, who is the Russian version of Captain America, basically. Red Star's his name, I think. Then you have Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp that we have not seen since Ant-Man and the Wasp. So that has been a very long time. And we also have Taskmaster from the Black Widow movie. All put together as this little team. And the trailer opens by Yelena going to see Alexei and talking about how she just has no fulfillment anymore. And even her trying to work for Val, who, if you remember at the end of Black Widow, Val recruits her to be part of her team, which ends up being the Thunderbolts right now. They get talking. There's a little mashup in the middle with the team getting together because the Winter Soldier is also part of the team. Bucky's back.
It looks to be old Bucky.
Yeah, old Bucky.
We're gonna see prime Bucky.
Yeah. They kind of fight each other and they introduce everybody in that way in the trailer. And then this weird character, Bob, shows up. Bob is actually the Sentry. Now, I didn't really know who the Sentry was not that long ago. But the Sentry in the comics is a super soldier experiment that creates this guy, the Sentry, who has power levels beyond Thanos.
Okay, well, that's definitely concerning.
He has a bunch of powers, like telekinesis and teleportation, and just on top of super strength and heat vision, and can fly. Like,
is that like related to what we saw in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier with that, like Weapon X? I think it was called. Like
it might,
all the Avengers. Like
it might
DNA.
be. It might be. I'm not. We'll have to see more another trailer or more the movie to find out. But it definitely could be. But the Sentry is definitely uber powerful. Now, is he going to be that way in the MCU? I don't think so, because that would be like insane levels of power.
Well, it would be a little weird too if you want like Doctor Doom to be your
right
main villain.
Right. So,
which, don't get me wrong, Doctor Doom, as we've discussed, is very powerful as well.
But you don't want the Sentry to be like just as powerful, basically.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be, at least from what I've seen online, he's probably going to be more portrayed as just a Superman kind of power level, which is still extremely powerful. But maybe not all the like telekinesis and teleportation and stuff like that. But they introduced Bob. Very funny moment. They have more fights and everything. They try to go after Val, who people seem to think Val in the trailer is the person that bought the Avengers Tower in New York City. And that's where they go to see her, is in the old Avengers Tower, which would be crazy. They meet up, and then there's another mashup, and now they're all driving in Alexei's bulletproof-ish car in the desert, as Bucky seems to like blow him up almost. So, and then it pretty much ends. I think it's going to be very good. I especially like that it's going to tie directly into the new Captain America movie. And like we were talking about before, if Marvel gets back to being more grounded, those are going to be, that's a better path for them. And the next two movies are exactly that. The new Captain America and now the Thunderbolts in May of 2025. Very grounded, Earth-based movies.
Yeah, it's definitely good news, but I like where they're going with this. As we all know from the Falcon the Winter Soldier, the whole world's kind of basically going to shit, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
So I like how they're kind of playing into that, talking about more of the bad guys and like the dirty work. So I think that's great, and I feel like Sam Wilson's gonna have a lot on his plate.
Yeah, to say the least.
um, so yeah, there you go. There's the trailer breakdown. I don't really have much else to say, but it looks like a really good movie. Marvel always does a good job with their cinematic trailers, so
Yeah, exactly.
looks good. Comes out in May of 2025. So get ready for that. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and take our break here, and we will see you very soon. Thanks for listening up to this point, and we're gonna get into sports when we come back. And welcome back, everyone. After that break, hope you guys enjoyed some of the Marvel stuff that we talked about. Almost had a whole half of the episode.
Woo!
So really was excited to report on that. But now we get to the meat and potatoes.
Meat and
All
potatoes.
the sports.
Hey, Thanksgiving.
I'm pretty hungry right now, so that's why I said that. So starting off, as always, we're going to bring you the latest sports news from around the sports world. Starting with NFL injuries. And before we get into the NFL injuries, I just want to say this season, the injuries have been wild.
Yes, they have.
I don't know, because I've only watched football maybe the last 2 or 3 years, but really started paying attention to it this year. I don't know if there was ever a season where I've seen so many star players that have been injured.
That it happens. I wouldn't say it happens like every season all the time, but it does happen.
Yeah, but this season just seems to be very prominent with star players around the entire league.
Yeah.
So, getting into it, we're going to list them off here because there's a lot of them. All right, so Shay, cue me. Go! Bengals offensive tackle Trent Brown is out for the season with a patellar tendon tear. Eagles offensive tackle Lane Johnson and wide receiver Devontae Smith, both out with concussions. Defensive end Marcus Davenport for Lions out for the season with an elbow injury. Tight end Sam Laporta as well for the Lions out with a high ankle sprain. Isaiah Pacheco is out 6 to 8 weeks after undergoing successful knee surgery for his injury he suffered. Justin Herbert of the Chargers aggravated his high ankle sprain, but the x-rays this week came back negative, so they avoided a worst case scenario. Also, wide receiver Cooper Kupp is out this week with his ankle injury. He's been ruled out for week 4. And the 49ers got reports. They're hopeful that Drake Greenlaw, who tore his Achilles in last year's Super Bowl, will be back mid-season. And they're also dealing with many other injuries on both sides of the ball.
We will go into our team's injuries a little later on as we get into the NFL, but that's not the only sports news this week.
Yeah. Before we get into that, you can see how many injuries happen.
Just a couple.
Just a couple. And there are plenty more, but a lot of them are also, players on secondary, third string positions. So
we don't have time to list every single injury.
Yeah. If you want, there's an easy way to do it. Just look up the injury report and you can see all the injuries.
What?
But moving on, we will get more into the injuries, like Shay said, when we get to the NFL week 2 and 3 recaps.
Mm-hmm.
But it's showtime. Shohei Ohtani, the man. What can this guy not do? Makes history with the first ever 50-50 season in MLB history, which we made the mistake. We thought it was the first in Dodgers history.
Yep.
No, it's the first in league history.
That's right.
50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. Not only that,
How he did
the
it.
way he did it. Being dubbed the greatest single performance in a game in MLB history.
Yeah.
Went 6 for 6 on the plate with 3 home runs, 5 extra base hits, 10 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases.
He's the first player in Dodgers history to get 10 RBIs in a game. He is the 10th player in MLB history to have 10 RBIs in a game. So he
just first. The first to do this, first to do that. Just
it's pretty incredible.
I honestly don't have any words. And we're not even done yet.
Nope.
We still have 6 games left in the season.
Yeah.
And he's on pace right now to get to the 60 club.
Which has also never happened.
So, like, Shay, what are your thoughts? Like, I'm just speechless.
Yeah. Obviously wasn't watching the game because we don't get the Dodgers games, obviously. But what I saw on Facebook, actually, I got an ESPN notification that he did it. And then I saw on Facebook the video. I get chills every time watching that video and hearing the call. Oh my God. It's honestly unreal. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before, not just in baseball, but in all of sports. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
The only thing I could maybe say is I've never seen dominance like this since probably Wayne Gretzky in the NHL. And
Right.
I wasn't born, so
Yeah, exactly.
I obviously did not see it.
Well,
But the way Wayne Gretzky dominated hockey is like what Shohei Ohtani is doing in baseball.
right now.
Just
And he's only 28, I think.
insane.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. I don't know if it'll ever happen again. I mean, he could do it again next year. You never know. But
Oh, also your friendly reminder, he has not pitched a game
he has not pitched,
yet.
and he is going into the postseason for the first time in his career, which is extremely exciting.
Yeah. Also a crime.
Yeah.
He should have been in the postseason way earlier
That's right.
in his career. So that really begs the question, Shay, because a lot of people are saying that he is, and it's a hot debate right now online. Is he already the greatest of all time?
I personally think, my own opinion, he is already the greatest athlete of all time. Not even just the greatest in baseball. And we've had this discussion before. Could he do it? Could he do it? Could he do it? Yeah. I'm cementing it. He will be doing it because he is already doing it.
He's
Again,
definitely on pace.
Yeah, he's not even pitching. He's just hitting. But the fact that now will he be able to do this, keep up his bat like this while he is pitching? Maybe not to this extent, but even if he gets anywhere close still while he's pitching would be unreal. So, yeah, I think he's already the greatest athlete of all time. Unless something crazy happens, he gets some incredible injury where he can't play anymore, well, then obviously I was wrong. But if he just continues, that's it for me. It's just amazing.
Yeah, hopefully, God forbid, that does not happen.
Yeah.
Because, like, I have no words. Just watching this.
We're witnessing greatness.
Yeah. Watching this, like, you hear about the greats of the past, and you're like, oh, yeah, they had great stats, but you never watched them play.
Yeah.
You only see the old tapes, the highlights, but watching it and living through it is just something totally different.
Yeah, agreed. I absolutely agree. and he's only going to get better and better. Like
Yeah.
we said, this year is the best year for anybody else to win the World Series besides the Dodgers because he's not pitching. And I don't even know if that's true anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's talks of him winning the MVP award. He would be the first full-time designated hitter
Yeah.
to win the MVP award.
Yeah.
There's
Insane.
real talk.
Insane.
And could he get to 60-60? He sure can.
He could. He just 2 nights ago, Sunday night, as of this recording, he had another home run that tied the game in the 9th for the Dodgers, and then Mookie Betts hit a walk-off home run to win the game. I think he's at 53 and 55 right now. So he has some work to do, but if anybody can do it, it's freaking Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. Now getting back to the GOAT debate. Excuse me. I'm going to play the naysayer side
Here we go.
because we're always going to hear this of any great player. Until they do this one thing, then they ain't nothing. And that is win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of naysayers are going to be, well, yeah, I mean, 50-50 is great, but he doesn't have a ring.
Yeah. I agree.
It was the same thing. It's still the same thing for Connor McDavid in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, McDavid's great. You know, he's the greatest player of the salary cap era, arguably. But he doesn't have a championship. Sidney Crosby has 3 championships, so he's obviously the greatest player.
I agree. I think there's plenty of merit for that kind of conversation. And he does need to win a World Series. And if he were to do it pitching and hitting, even if he just won once, one trophy, pitching and hitting, go ahead. You're the greatest of all time.
Unheard of.
If he wins it this year just hitting, okay, you're on the track. But if he does it again and again and again, which he could do.
Yeah, like we said before, when the Dodgers signed this contract, even we were surprised of $700 million.
Yep.
Because of his injury status.
Yep.
But now, after this season, not even pitching, you could make the argument that he's worth every single penny.
And if they win the World Series without him pitching, yep.
And that's
worth it.
That's really, really bad news for the rest of the league.
Yeah.
If
Exactly.
they win the World Series this year without him pitching, I mean, how are they going to do when he is pitching?
Yeah.
They could be like a Patriots,
Yeah. This is
like win the World Series every other year.
exactly. We've said it. This year is the best year for any other team in Major League Baseball to win the World Series.
Yeah, just absolutely fantastic work by this man. Once he wins the World Series, obviously, a lot of those naysayers are going to be silenced.
Exactly.
And if they win it this year, they'll still have something to say, like, well, yeah, he won hitting, but he's not going to win as a pitcher, like a two-way player. So there's always going to be that argument.
There's always haters against greatness.
Yeah. So, but moving on from Shohei Ohtani, because we admire him so much here at Just Saying, we got the MLB playoff race.
That's right. We're in the last week.
There's only about 6 games left. For some teams have 5 games left, but pretty much across the league, only 6 games left. Coming down to the last week, the postseason officially starts October 1st,
Mm-hmm.
and we will be doing playoff predictions. We'll be making a playoff bracket, recording it on Sunday as a YouTube video. So if you want to watch that, make sure you subscribe to YouTube, and also, as a bonus, you get daily access to this podcast.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. And all you got to do is hit the red subscribe button.
Wow. That's
That's
easy.
all you got to do. You don't
Wow.
have to pay nothing. You don't have to do anything. You know,
It's pretty easy.
there's no competition. Just got one click. Hit the subscribe button.
You should hit that subscribe
You
button.
really should. But we're gonna run it through it here. In the American League, the New York Yankees, of course, have clinched a playoff spot. The Cleveland Guardians did clinch their division as well as a playoff spot, and Houston is currently leading their division, and they haven't officially clinched the playoff spot, but they probably will if they win their next game. And in the wild card, you got the Baltimore Orioles, the Detroit Tigers, who have made a pretty late push.
Mm-hmm.
They've been looking pretty good. They're 8-2 in their last 10.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Royals are still right there. They've been sliding though. They're 2-8 in their last 10. And right behind them, only within 5 games, are 4 teams: the Minnesota Twins, the Seattle Mariners, the Boston Red Sox, and Tampa Bay Rays are still kicking. Now, a lot of these teams are going to need a lot of help, and they're going to need to win out.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, with that being said, at least for our teams, the Rays are 6-4 in their last 10, and the Boston Red Sox are 5-5 in their last 10, with records of 79-78 and 78-79. So they're pretty close.
Yep.
Might come down to the final game. How exciting would that be? You and me, both of our teams, whoever wins, clinches a playoff spot the last day.
It'd be pretty exciting.
That would be pretty exciting. I honestly hope that happens. But whoever makes the postseason out of both of our teams, I don't think they're going to go very far.
Nope.
Unfortunately.
Not at all.
But one of us will get bragging rights. But moving on to the National League, the Los Angeles Dodgers have clinched a playoff spot. Philadelphia has clinched not only their division. Oh, no. Never mind. They've clinched the East. I thought that meant that they clinched their conference, but they have not.
No.
So that's their first NL East pennant since 2011.
Yep.
So congrats to the Phillies. And we talked about the Dodgers, but nobody wants to face the Phillies in the postseason.
In Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah.
That is the most
It's
raucous,
completely different beast.
loudest stadium in all of baseball. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch that.
So I'll be really excited for that. Not to mention that roster is built for the playoffs.
Agreed.
Milwaukee Brewers have clinched their division. And in the wild card, right now we got the San Diego Padres, the New York Mets, and the Arizona Diamondbacks all holding those spots. But we only have one other team that's hasn't been mathematically eliminated, and that's the Atlanta Braves. So a little bit more decided in the National League, but there's still games that somebody could fall out.
Yeah.
And the Braves could take the spot.
That's right.
I hope they fall out.
Agreed. I agree.
So yeah, there's the playoff update. Shay, who do you think makes it? Who do you think clinches those final playoff berths? Who falls out?
I think the Braves will not make it. I think they will fall out.
Now the Mets, they're 7-3 in their last 10.
Mhm.
They're plus half a game above the cutoff. Arizona is right there. They're 5-5 in their last 10, and then Atlanta is 1.5 games behind, 6-4 in their last 10.
I think Arizona will jump up. On the American League side, I don't think either of our teams are going to make it unless we win out. But at least for the Red Sox, I don't see that happening. We already rested a couple of our players, like shut them down for the rest of the year. So I really just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, especially with both our teams being 3.5 and 4.5 games behind. Like we said, the odds are stacked against us. We need a lot of help.
Yeah.
We need to win out. So yeah. So out of the 3 teams, because these teams are a little more likely, out of the Mariners, Twins, and the Royals, who do you think makes it?
I think the Mariners will make it.
Yeah, and they're 7-3 in their last 10, so that helps. So Twins are 3-7.
Yeah.
and the Royals are 2-8, so they could fall out
Mm-hmm.
and lose it. But good for them. I hope the Detroit Tigers make it.
They've been on a tear.
Yeah, the way that franchise has gone in recent memory, they could definitely use a playoff appearance.
Also, well, speaking of that, also, this is the last homestand for Oakland Athletics fans.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the last series in Oakland.
57 years, 4 World Series titles, Hall of Famers coming out of Oakland.
Just to go to Vegas.
Yeah,
Sad to see.
very sad. Yeah, terrible.
Sorry, A's fans.
Yep. No thanks to your owner.
Yeah.
You have one of the worst owners in the sport.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if they go to Las Vegas and suddenly they win a World Series in the next 5 years, that's going to be just brutal.
Brutal.
That's going to be brutal. I'm really sorry. Really sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes too the 4th sports franchise that has moved out of Oakland.
Yeah, they don't have anyone.
And they don't
left.
have any more.
Yep.
This is the last one. Just awful.
Very sad.
All right, moving on from baseball. There's your playoff update, and we're going to be excited to see who makes it and who does not.
Again, watch out for the playoff bracket video coming.
That's right. I look forward to the playoffs because playoff baseball is fantastic.
Agreed.
Moving on, though, to NASCAR, who are in the playoffs.
Yes.
Chris Buescher wins at Watkins Glen, which was not this past week, but the week before.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyle Larson won Sunday at Bristol in dominant fashion, leading 462 of 500 laps.
Yeah.
The most laps led in a single race by a Hendrick Motorsport driver.
That's right.
And now he's the favorite to win the championship. Had a really good performance in the regular season, leading in wins. And with this dominant performance, Shay, do you think Kyle Larson is deserving of being the front runner?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
He's one of the greatest drivers in the field. So
that's right. Moving on here. The round of 16 is over. Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr., Harrison Burton, and Brad Keselowski were all eliminated from the round of 12.
There goes my dark horse.
Same here. And Harrison Burton, sucks. I mean, congrats on, clinching the playoff spot. But you can thank him because he kept Kyle Busch out of the playoffs.
Sucks for Truex, too, because he's in his final year.
Yeah. So, kind of disappointing finish all around for these drivers, obviously, because they were eliminated. But on to the round of 12. We're going to give you a little preview. The next race is Kansas Motor Speedway.
That's right. So your current standings as of this recording, Kyle Larson does lead the field. Shocker. Then you have Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, and Chase Briscoe. That's your top 12. So, who is on the chopping block here to move on to the round of 8? Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, and Chase Briscoe. They're all below the cut line. Starting next week at Kansas.
Yep, there you go.
All 4 Hendrick Motorsports drivers are still in the playoffs. Just saying.
Yep, no surprise. Hendrick, greatest organization in NASCAR.
That's right.
All right, that's going to do it for NASCAR. Moving on to the NFL.
That's right. Because of the scheduling conflicts we had and stuff, we are recapping 2 weeks because we got 2 weeks behind.
That's right. And hopefully next episode we will be back to a normal format. So
correct.
A little weird, but we're getting back on track.
That's right. So week 2, we're just focusing on our teams because we can't recap every week.
Yeah, but I will say week 2, there were ton of upsets.
Correct.
Overtime losses, late, last second field goals, scores. But
Yeah.
a lot of the top favorite teams.
And our teams were
got
involved
upset.
in that.
That's right.
So the Eagles lost to the Falcons 22-21 on Monday Night Football.
On the final minute and a half drive. Kirk Cousins and company drive down the field.
Yeah.
And thanks to the Eagles defense, they blow it.
And thanks to Saquon Barkley dropping the ball on the third down to run out the clock. It's fine because that was week 2. Moving on, in week 2, the Bengals lost to Mahomes.
And that's not the worst loss. But we're going to get to that because I have some opinions.
That is.
But let me give you my thoughts on this game. Very close game. Burrow and company showed up. The defense played well, but it's the Chiefs.
It's Chiefs.
I mean, really. They should have won that game.
But
Jamar Chase took a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after he didn't get supposedly he thought should have been called for a hip drop tackle. Had a few words for the ref. Ref takes his flag, throws it. There you go. And
that's after Joe Burrow holding him back too, telling him no, stop. And then Chase went right back.
Very undisciplined.
Yeah.
But also on the final play of the game, final drive where Kansas City was driving down the field, they took a pass interference penalty, which if they didn't do that, they would have won the game.
Yeah.
So sucks. The only kind of discussion I have for that is, obviously there's still a lot of conversation, and I've seen it more this year than ever. The refs are just helping Kansas City. The NFL wants Kansas City to win. They've had all their final plays have calls that favored them. I still don't buy into it. You can't pin the loss of a game on like one moment.
No.
There's 60 minutes of football.
Agreed. I mean, the Bengals had them on a 4th and 16. And Mahomes did what Mahomes does and converted the 4th and 16 because of the pass interference call.
Yeah. And I've seen like discussions of,
and that was after that 4th and 16 came after an illegal hands to the face call on the Chiefs. So the Chiefs put themselves in that position.
Right. So there's calls being made against the Chiefs. And like we've said, nobody's going to complain about the refs unless their team loses. Their team wins. Correct. Refs did a great job.
Yeah.
Every call was perfect. Good night.
Yeah.
But if your team loses, of course you're going to complain about the refs. But my thing is, and I've seen like a discussion on this, the Chiefs are the only team in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback that when it's crunch time and you need a big play, it's 4th down, need to convert in the final drive of the game. He's the only player that can make defenses worry so much that they take penalties.
Nobody else.
That's how good. Yeah. That's how much teams fear Patrick Mahomes' ability.
Yeah, it's the same way with Tom Brady or Peyton Manning back in the day. It is the same exact way.
Yeah, so definitely don't buy into the refs. Like I said, Bengals should have won that game. But moving on, the Jags lose to the Browns as well in a kind of a slugfest, not going to lie.
Yeah.
Just not a great game by any stretch. So not much to say about that. So moving on to week 3. This is where we really get into it.
Yeah.
The Eagles defense does show up after a lot of criticism from the previous week's game. They beat the Saints 15-12. They hold, at the time, the hottest offense in football to 12 points in New Orleans. But, as we mentioned before, there were injuries to Lane Johnson and Devontae Smith. Both suffered concussions.
Yeah, especially the Smith hit was very scary. He went down and almost did a lockup like Tua did. His helmet flew off of his head with the hit. It was very scary. So I'm glad he's okay, minus the concussion, obviously. I'm glad the Eagles won. It was 3-0 Saints at halftime. So, not the game that anybody expected. That's for sure. The defense played well. The offense still seems like it's figuring some stuff out, but Saquon Barkley, once again, after letting us down the week prior, gave us the win basically this week, along with Dallas Goedert, who had 10 receptions for 170 yards, career high for him. I'm happy, but I'm very worried moving on because no Devontae Smith for at least this week, or Lane Johnson, the best right tackle in all of football.
Yeah, these are very costly injuries.
And A.J. Brown is still questionable right now, so we're down our top 2 receivers. We're in a lot of trouble.
So now you have Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, Jahan Dotson. He would be
as like your number 1.
Yeah, if A.J. Brown doesn't come back, he's questionable. But overall, I'm happy. Especially we beat the Saints, most high-powered offense. Defense looked great. Really looked like the defense we were promised with Vic Fangio. So I'm happy about it. I have a little more faith moving forward. But that can't be said about how you feel now, is it?
No. I paid $8 to watch the Jags and Bills game on my phone.
So
which I could do.
Monday Night Football was a doubleheader.
Yes.
Jags and Bills.
I was really excited.
Jags and Bills. Yeah, Jarris had both of his teams on Monday night. Jags and Bills, Commanders and Bengals.
I'll tell you what.
Jags and Bills first. Let's do this.
Well, hold on. I'm just going to run through like the high that I had, right? I got wings. I got a 6-pack. I was ready. Like Monday Night Football, doubleheader, both my teams. Let's get it. Now, the Jags against the Bills, I did not have high expectations.
Yeah.
The way we lost that game, I was a little surprised because it was just really bad. Jags played terrible.
The Bills demolished.
Dominated. 47-10. Yeah. So
Josh Allen for MVP.
I turned the game off halfway because once they were up, what was it, like 21-3 or 21-10? We weren't coming back. I'm not surprised there. Now the Jags, their biggest problem is still the red zone. Within the 20-yard line, they have a very poor record of converting it to a touchdown. Christian Kirk had a drop pass in the end zone. Trevor Lawrence didn't play particularly well. The defense definitely did not play well.
One good thing, even though it's not your team, DeMar Hamlin got his first career interception, and
I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy for him.
It was a very nice
especially
moment.
With what happened.
Yeah.
2 years ago. I mean, I think this year, like, he could win, like, comeback player of the year.
Very happy.
For that.
Yeah.
So, great on him. Bills' defense played amazing. Like, coverage, perfect coverage on every play. So, I mean, really, there wasn't much we could do. But yeah, the Jags, I said it yesterday. It's kind of frustrating because this team is, to me, perfectly mid.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to make a big change, we can't.
Nope.
Because now we're locked into a 5-year contract with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And our whole core is signed up for the next 2 or 3 years. The only player I've really seen that's a difference maker is Josh Allen, who's not on the Bills.
Yeah.
Our Josh Allen, one of the best edge rushers in football.
That's right.
Other than that, like, Etienne is not like I wouldn't put him in like a top 15 running back in the league.
Yeah.
Right now, like as of right now. Christian Kirk, I wouldn't put him top half of wide receivers. I mean, our defense, like our secondary, is demolished. I looked at the injury report, and there's so many injuries.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't put Trevor Lawrence anymore in the top 15 of a quarterback, maybe even top 20.
Yeah.
As of right now.
The Jags have not won since Thanksgiving of last year.
Yeah, it's just been miserable. It gives me flashbacks to 2021, where we went 1-16, and Trevor Lawrence, when we drafted him, was supposed to be a generational talent.
Yeah.
Now, very high expectations, obviously, and he has not lived up. He still has the potential.
Yeah.
But so far it's just not shown up.
No. But that was that game.
Yeah. And now we get to the real kicker.
The big surprise.
You're 0-2 Bengals, right? You need to win this game.
Yep.
You've lost, including this game now, you've lost all 3 games by 1 score in frustrating fashion. Offense is clicking, defense not showing up. If everything's clicking, you're taking these bad penalties, undisciplined play. The first drive of this game, it was a 41-yard touchdown pass to Jamar Chase. Opening drive. Literally the opening drive.
That's when you're like, oh yeah, the Bengals are here.
Yes. I'm like, Bengals are at home. We just scored on our first drive. Let's fucking go. The Commanders responded. Like, okay, good response. Jalen Daniels, good for them. Austin Eckler, good for him. He had himself a game too until he went down with injury in the third quarter. But the defense, man, the Bengals defense just could not stop a fly in front of their face. Blown coverage all night. We headed into halftime with an 8-point deficit. So I was like, all right, that's fine. We're only down 8 points. It's halftime. There's plenty of football left. They're going to go in the locker room. They're going to get it together. And Commanders score. Commanders score. We kept responding. Joe Burrow played a really good game.
Yeah.
He did play a really good game.
Both teams. This was the first game since 1940 to have 0 turnovers and 0 punts.
But yeah, just there was a blown call on a 2-point conversion. Should have been pass interference, but it didn't matter. We lost the game 38-33. Now I cannot take anything away from the Commanders. They played a fantastic game. Fantastic.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
Jalen Daniels had himself a game. He's now has the most rushing touchdowns of any quarterback in the league and the most rushing yards by any quarterback in the league. Austin Eckler, like I said, had a great game. But yeah, Bengals just beat themselves again. Now they're 0-3.
Yeah.
And as you told me, teams that are down 0-3 to start the season, only 1 out of 125 teams have made the playoffs.
Yep. That's right.
And our next game, week 4, is against the Panthers. And
Who looked like the best team in football last week.
Yeah. And let me tell you what. You're down 0-3. You have to win this game. This is literally a do or die game. This is it.
I think so.
Your whole season rests on this game.
I think so.
If the Bengals lose this game, we're done. We're done.
Yeah, there are only 3 completely defeated teams in the NFL. The Titans, Bengals, and Jaguars.
And the Jaguars. So my teams continue to bring me absolute misery. Just fantastic. So thanks for a great night of Monday Night Football. Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Very appreciated.
Good for you, Jake. You got a good win.
Yeah. And if Josh Allen wasn't already in the conversation already as MVP through the first 3 games, he is definitely the front runner.
Yeah.
without question.
Agreed.
So yeah, one team won, two teams lost. That was the story. But unfortunately, we have run out of time. We were going to give you our picks and previews. So maybe we'll post them like the Facebook page or whatever. But that's going to do it though for this episode. Like I said, might be a little weird that we didn't get to everything, but we're going to get back on track next week, get back to our regular format. So again, thank you guys so much for listening throughout the episode. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube for daily access. Look
Hit
out.
that button.
Exactly. Look out for our MLB playoff video. That'll be coming out next week. The playoffs start October 1st.
Yep.
Wild card. So it'll be time pretty good for that. And we will see you next week.